Welcome again to this new first lesson of frequent English. In this lesson, we will see how to learn English well, because it's really very important to know how to learn a new language. In fact, if you start to learn a new language without a guide, without a method to follow, you are not really doing well, be sure of that. And you are not going to master the language easily and quickly. So this video is really extremely important for you. Today we are going to separate this lesson in 3 sections. Before answering the main question of this video, we will see why learn English. So why learn English is really very important. In fact, this will motivate us to learn English. Then we will answer the main question of this lesson, how to learn English well. And finally, we'll see some advices for English learners. Believe me, these are really gold advices. So keep the lesson with me. So why learn English? In fact, there are many reasons to learn English. And because it is one of the most difficult languages to learn, it is important to focus on why you want to learn English. Here, we look at 5 great reasons why English is so important. First of all, English is a global language. In fact, English is the most commonly used language throughout the world. Another reason why English is so important is that it's the language of science. So, to excel in science, you need to know English, because simply English is a very logical language. English also is learned fairly and quickly. In fact, you don't really need a lot of time to start mastering the language. It's quick to understand and really quick to master. Another important point is about opportunities. Believe me or not, but English helps a lot open opportunities. For example, in the United States, speaking English immediately opens up opportunities, regardless of your ethnicity, color, or background. So, in general, learning English will increase your standard of living. And all these reasons lead us to one final reason, is that English is a very powerful language. So if you have English, you have really a very great tool. Now we come to the most important question, which is how to learn English well. And the answer to this question is just in one simple word, really. And the answer is frequency. Well, what I mean by frequency? I mean that you should practice English frequently. It's that simple. Frequently means every day, or at least every 2 days. Then somebody will ask, how can I practice English frequently? What can I do as practicing? And how can I do this practice, of course? You should start by reading every day. This is the most important activity to do as practice. For example, read 1 article or 2 articles every day. Then comes listening. That will help your ear to be used to English accents, to English words, so you can understand what people are talking about in English easily and quickly. This is the second important activity after reading. And finally comes speaking. So, you should speak in English with your friends, with your family. Just speak in English. Don't worry about your mistakes. I know this is a little bit difficult, especially when you are in a country where the mother tongue language is not English. But anyway, you can speak to yourself, for example. This is very sufficient. And don't worry really about speaking too much, because, as I said before, the most important activities are reading and listening. Now, if you put some attention, you will see that I put these 3 activities in a very particular order. Why? Because this depends on 2 things. First thing, it's the importance of each activity. Reading is more important than listening, and listening is more important than speaking. Therefore, you should give more time to reading than listening than speaking. The other reason to this precise order is that every activity depends on its previous activity. Speaking depends on listening, and listening depends on reading. How is this possible? I'll explain. Reading will help you to understand easily what people are talking about. You can make the tests and see the results by yourself. Therefore, I advise you really to read a little bit of English before starting to listen to English. And the same thing with speaking. When you listen and you listen, you find out you can express yourself easily, and words can easily be spoken. So the three activities are related to each other, and the order has its own importance, of course. Now we come to the last part of this video, which is about some interesting advices to do while practicing English. And as I said before, these are really gold advices. First thing, you have to love your English language. This is extremely important because when you love something, you are really completely ready for it. Then appreciate your improvements. What I mean by this, you should not say, I am still far from that level of English. No, you should see the difference between your past level and your new level, between your past English and your new English, and you will see the improvements, okay? Especially if you practice English frequently, as I said before. The third point is that you should make mistakes. Sometimes maybe that sounds somehow unbelievable, but it's true. You have to make mistakes. This is extremely important. Why? Because making mistakes is necessary for your learning. Do you know what? If you are not making mistakes, you are not really doing well, and you are not going to have this good language you aim to have. The last thing is about repeating what you do. Don't expect everything to stick the first time you hear it or you read it. In fact, every now and then you should look back at things you have read so far. Repeating is also very useful for vocabulary. In real life, people don't learn lists of vocabulary. They are simply exposed to words over and over again in a context which they know. And in the end, of course, things stick, with a little looking up or asking sometimes. So here we are, we come to the end of this video. If you have any comments, anything to say about the video of today, don't hesitate, just write your comment down and I'll answer as soon as possible. If you are not subscribed yet, don't forget to click on subscribe. And as always, have a nice day. Good luck!